Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sideline Shenanigans podcast today with Jacob Maggard
Poppy.
and welcome back to some NBA talk. Now we will move into our award picks. Starting off here with the Defensive Player of the Year, probably the easiest award to pick. If he plays 65 games, Victor Wembanyama is winning the Defensive Player of the Year. Hoppy, give me the reason why you think he will.
Well, I'm just looking at Victor, and it's hard for a guy that tall to stay healthy for a full year, as you said. But if he does stay healthy, it's going to be hard for anyone else to have this kind of impact. It's normally going to a big man, and Victor's the biggest of all the men,
Yeah.
and he's got long arms, and he's quick on his feet. I think he's probably going to win it this year, barring injury. Really, really look for him to be one of the best defensive players of all time.
Yeah, and you look at the statistics on the screen right now. They use these four statistics to determine the defensive player of the year. Nothing else goes into it. It is blocks, steals, rebounds, and defensive win shares. Defensive win shares, of course, a statistic that a lot of people don't really know how it calculates. If you go read it on Basketball Reference, you can get an explanation. I can't give you one. It is extremely confusing how they calculate defensive win shares, but solely based on points per possession throughout the NBA. Then it is based on the average score in a game in the NBA. And then they take that and they average it out based on the player when he's on the court. So basically, defensive win shares tells you how valuable the player is. It's kind of like WAR in baseball. If you just look at the defensive WAR, you kind of see the effect they make on the defensive side. That's similar to what this stat is, but it's really hard to understand it. You want to go read that on Basketball Reference if you want to understand it. I can't give you a great explanation. I'm going to have Victor Wembanyama also as the Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's averaging 4 blocks a game and 1.4 steals. That is 5.5 stocks per game. That's better than anybody by three. I mean, there's nobody close in stocks. He had 2.8 defensive win shares and didn't even qualify for the All NBA teams. He would have been the leader in that statistic as well. And then he averaged 12 rebounds, which is far better than most of the other bigs, and a lot better than any guard can ever do just because they're not playing a position to rebound like that. He is the runaway favorite by a long shot at that position if he plays 65 games. Hoppy, give me a reason why you have Amin Thompson as your runner-up.
Well, I'm in Thompson as my runner-up because he's just an athletic freak, and it's always going to big man. But there's really got to be something to said for this guards, and you might not see it with the paint percentages and stopping layups from happening, but you see it through them making it harder on the opposing team's facilitators, and when that is hard for the other team, that really helps the whole rest of the defense click. You look at a guard can funnel the player to a big man
Yeah.
and make it really hard on him. And as you can see, he's a 1.4 steal guy a game. I almost picked Evan Mobley as the runner up myself. I'm a real big Mobley fan because he's got perimeter and post defense.
Yeah.
But Amin just seems to have that athletic upside to really go out there and play some defense. And we've seen Marcus Smart win one. I think Amin can get at least one in his career at some point.
Yeah, and you look at the defensive win share statistic. Amin Thompson's number two in the NBA, so that matters a lot. They literally tell you when you read how they qualify and pick this defender. Defensive win is one of the four statistics. He was number two last year in the NBA. Gives him a great chance to go out there and win it this year if he leads that statistic. He's not going to lead in rebounds. He's not going to lead in blocks. He's probably not going to lead in steals. Like a guy like Dyson Daniels will probably end up doing that. But he has all three where he's just kind of good at all of them. He's got the defensive win shares as his best statistic, and I think the reason that statistic is important is because it kind of measures their effect on the defense, not just what the statistics show you, but how effective they are when they're just on the court. Like you said, if he funnels a guy into a center and the center gets a block, that doesn't show up on his stat sheet. But defensive win shares, it does because it's based on the points scored. So that can show you how good he is when he's on the court defensively. For me, runner up is Evan Mobley. An awesome defender. Like you said, he can defend the perimeter better than most bigs. 1.8 blocks, one steal, nearly 3 stocks a game. But also, he rebounds extremely well, almost 11 boards per game. And he was up there at the top of the defensive win share statistic. He was top 13. I think he was around 12 or 13. I can't remember exactly. So he can finish inside that top 10 in the defensive win shares, which gives him a great chance to be able to go out there and pursue that defensive player of the year. But this is a runaway. Once again, let me and Hoppy not undersell Victor Wembanyama. He is the heavy, heavy favorite to win this award as long as he plays 65 games this season. We'll now move on to our Rookie of the Year race. As you'll see, I did a lot of digging. I got statistics. I got what I thought was most important for these players. That allowed me and Hoppy to break these two players down that we have picked, or three total actually. But we'll start off with the Rookie of the Year, obvious choice in Cooper Flag. Hoppy, why do you have Flag winning it?
Cooper Flag, he's an all-around player, man. You see it in his game, able to play with other stars already at Duke, and he's going into a really good system here. And despite going into that good system, he is going to start day one. He's going to be a major player day one, and he's going to have an opportunity to grow and flourish. Look at the stats from college. A really good shot with a 38% .53 percentage. His defense is actually what people are talking about more than his offense with, as you can see, 1.4 blocks, 1.4 steals there. But I really think he's a good all-around player. He's one of those guys that are tall, but you don't have to worry about him getting hurt as much as the guys that are just a couple inches taller. So he's really good size for an NBA player. About the perfect size, I would say him and Paulo Banchero, that's the height you kind of want in an NBA player, and he can do it all. I'm telling you, I watched him a lot last year.
Yeah, and to play devil's advocate and to play the other side of things, he struggled in college a little bit with the turnovers. That was a thing that late in the game they gave him the ball and he tried to be a point guard and he just isn't necessarily there yet with his ball handling ability. He's still very good with the ball in his hands. He still can be a playmaker. But there was 3 or 4 games last year that Duke gave him the ball at the end of the game and he turned it over. He kind of needed someone to get him the ball in that situation and let him get the victory. When he had the ball in his hand, obviously he was the best player on the court. As you can tell, he won National Player of the Year, designated by the NPOY I put on there, but also averaged 19 points, 7.5 rebounds, facilitated the ball really well for a big man, 4 assists per game. And like you said, he shot the three ball at a high level, nearly 39%. NBA teams were clamoring over getting this guy. Shooting nearly 50% from the field. Think his game is incredible. If there was anywhere he needs to fix, it is those turnovers late in games. Just figure out the ball handling a little bit better. He won't have to do that in the NBA. If he has a Kyrie Irving running the point for him, Kyrie can get him the ball, let him go in there and make the plays. But if he needs to, he can develop that skill and become even better, which is scary for a guy that averaged 19 already. Hoppy, give me the reason why you have Conk and Nipple as your runner-up with the Charlotte Hornets.
I think that Con Knipple, he's in a good system, in my opinion. I think that he's going to get a lot of shots, and I think he's going to prove very early on that he can hit those shots. He's got a really sweet looking shot. It goes in at a high rate. I like that you added in the free throw percentage there on list. It just shows if you can shoot 90% from the free throw line, you got a sweet shot. You've really worked on it, and you've really done it. As you can see, he made the All ACC team. He's not necessarily the most exciting number one guy. You don't expect him to develop into a number one guy, but we didn't expect that from Jared McCain last year either, and he almost won the Rookie of the Year. So I thought as a kind of toss in the dart, I'd put Con Knipple on there. I really think he can hit a lot of threes this season. Even more likely than Rookie of the Year, I think he could hit the most threes of any rookie. Something really interesting to look at there. So I really think he'll have a good season this year.
Yeah, and I'll quickly talk about him. You mentioned the 3 point upside. He's one of the best shooters in the draft, if not the best pure shooter. He's also 6'7", so he can get that shot off over most players, which is very helpful at the guard position. And he had a steal per game last year. He was actually a pretty solid defender on ball, which gives him the ability to be defensively not a mismatch. He can go out there and guard people. Like you said, all ACC team that I listed there, averaged 4 rebounds, nearly 3 assists, can facilitate a little bit, and 14 points per game. I actually could see that number go up. And believe it or not, I think he's going to be the third scoring option on that team with LaMelo and Brandon Miller being 1 and 2. And that's going to leave him with some more open shots. If he knocks down his threes, there's a real chance he scores more points per game than Cooper Flag does. Flag could kind of get buried if Kyrie comes back and Anthony Davis is clearly going to take more shots. And there's a world where Flag doesn't shoot as much. And if Knipple is the key piece of a bad team, that allows him to shoot the ball more and score more points. Moving on to the other side, and you're going to talk about here with my runner-up for the Rookie of the Year. I think that Trey Johnson can do the same thing. Trey Johnson is going to score a ton of points. The Wizards might have their leading scorer be a rookie in Trey Johnson. He averaged 20 points per game in college. shooting very efficiently, 43% from the floor, nearly 40% from the three-point line. And like you said, when you see a high free throw percentage, you know the guy's a good pure shooter. He was all SEC. He does bring some defensive upside, can pick a pocket here and there. But the 20 points per game and the 3 assists is the big deal there, playing at the shooting guard position. I expect Trey Johnson to be one of the top scorers in all the rookies. I think he could lead rookies in scoring, which gives him a really good chance to win that Rookie of the Year. Scoring is obviously one of the most important statistics when you go look at that. Hoppy, give your thoughts here on the all SEC guy and Trey Johnson coming out of Texas.
I really like your take on him possibly being the leading scorer on this team. He's coming into a really good situation. I think he has a little bit more on-ball creation than Con Knipple does. Just kind of didn't get to see it. Even if Con Knipple has that type of creation, he was on a stacked roster in college, and he didn't really even get a chance to do much other than shoot the three ball. And pass it in secondary passing situations after someone else had really passed it to him and set up the play. But Trey Johnson has a little bit more of that lead player in him. He could
Yeah,
definitely develop into that type of player. A little bit shorter than Knipple, but I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Trey Johnson's going to transition pretty well. Could end up being wrong. It's hard to tell how people will come into the NBA, but I think he'll do pretty well for himself.
Yeah, and clearly that's supposed to say Rookie of the Year there. A little bit of a mismanagement there on my part, but you guys knew what we were talking about in this award. Like you said, I think that Con Knipple has the potential to be the leading three-point guy. This is the guy pushing him forward in Trey Johnson. He's going to chuck a ton of shots because the Wizards are just going to have the availability to do it. Like I said, he could be the leading scorer on the Wizards roster. That just gives him such a good chance to go out and push for Rookie of the Year. We'll move on to our next one here, talking about the sixth man of the year. I kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier when I said that Naj Reid could be the guy for the both of us. He is the guy. He averaged 14 points per game last season, 6 rebounds, nearly 2.5 assists, 46% from the floor, but 38% from three. For a power forward, that's really impressive. Averaged a block a game and close to a steal a game. Think he's going to do everything for this team. He can be the guy off the bench. He can play the power forward position if you need him to. He can play the center position at time because of his defensive ability, but also he can stretch the floor, shoot the three ball, and be a high percentage guy from anywhere on the court. I love Naz Reid. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, backup player in the entire NBA. Think he could easily be starting for a lot of basketball teams, and maybe could even be a second option for some teams. What was your reasoning for putting Naz Reid as your sixth man of the year?
Well, I've seen Nas Reed do some things in some playoff series not too long ago, where he just stepped up for that Timberwolves team and really was the reason why they won some playoff series. Just shooting some Kevin Durant like shots from the
Yeah.
3 point line, and then you watch him handle the ball. He's got a slick handle, dude. You put this guy in the NBA 10 years ago, you're talking about a guy that they would be like, dude, this guy. They probably bench him because he shot too much back then, but. He's a different type of player for sure. Very fun to watch. And then a lot of the other names that I saw as six men, I was kind of worried that they would work their way into the starting lineup before the end of the year as well. So I think Naz Reid is pretty solidified in that sixth man role on this team. And it is a shame that he doesn't start somewhere because I think he could really make some all star teams possibly
Yeah.
and make a bigger name for himself if he was on a different squad. And, he'll get that chance at some point in his career, next contract or something like that.
Well, you got to assume for him to sign his last extension here that he just loves the situation. He loves the team. Maybe he loves the role. Maybe he's just like a lemon pepper Lou. Lou always loved to sit on the bench and be the sixth man. He enjoyed that role. He thought it was just so important. And maybe Naz Reid is the same way. He just feels that role is so important to potentially winning a championship. And I think a lot of people, if they went out and won a championship, would say, man, Naz Reid was a real difference maker, as he could be the best bench player in the entire NBA. We'll move down to the runner-ups here. Hoppy, I'll let you start. We have another guy that is the exact same in Josh Hart, with him moving to the bench in the New York Knicks. Why do you have him as the second guy, the runner-up here?
Well, you talk about Josh Hart here. He's going to play some minutes. I don't care if he's on the bench in the starting lineup, what it is, playing on this Knicks team. He's going to get his minutes out there, and he's just a really good player. He's one that can slot into any team, any situation. He does what the team needs him to do. And I'm going to be honest with you, with my own eyes, he's probably the best rebounding shooting guard I've ever seen in my
Yeah,
life, or rebounding guard, period.
6'4" and averages 10 rebounds a game. I mehe's
He's
unbelievable.
absolutely a maniac crashing the the boards out there, this Josh Hart dude is, and I think that does a lot to help make up for some of Karl Anthony Towns' lack of playing that big man role and being really aggressive. Josh Hart can come in there, say, "Okay, Towns, you do the shooting like I'm supposed
Yeah.
to. I'll do the dirty work like a big man's supposed to." And it really is like a yin and yang situation in there in New York with those two players. So he definitely has a chance here.
Yeah, and you look down at the statistics here, nearly 14 points per game, and that was more of in his starting role last season, averaging 10 rebounds, 6 assists. This is a guy that can give you a triple-double night in and night out. That's incredible. If he's doing that off the bench, he is easily up there with Naz Reid as the best defensive player or the best player overall on the bench. Averaged 53% from the floor, 33% from three. That's all you need out of him. And obviously a 1.5 steals per game as well. So a great defender, too, at that shooting guard position. He rebounds better than most. He assists better than most at the shooting guard position. He is one of the better defenders at that position, and he can give you 13, 14 points a game. I love Josh Hart coming off the bench. I think he's a real difference maker for this New York Knicks team, and that is why I have them as the number one seed in the East, is he's leading that bench unit. We'll move on to our next award here in the most improved player. Hoppy, who do you have here in Andrew Nembhard at the one seed? Why do you have him there, I should say?
I have Andrew Nembhard here at the number one spot because I mean they're losing Therese Halliburton, and someone's going to have to take up that assist load. T.J. McConnell going to be not playing with them either this season, and I feel like Nembhard can add 3 points per game to that. Points per game total, and then we can see a most improved player that ain't really about the points here, and we could see him average, top of the NBA in assists. I'm talking, 7.5 to 8 assists a game will get you in that top 20 category. And I think that's so huge to just go from being, in just a good passer to being one of the best passers in the league. If he can stroke that 3-pointer a little bit better next year, he might have a higher chance. And then, as you can see, the runner up also on the Pacers. So I think one of these guys that has to step up to fill Halliburton's shoes is going to get that improved player award.
Yeah, and you're taking a shot on two players from the same team. Same thing I did, as I'll talk about in just a second. You look at Andrew Nembhard, 46% from the field is really, really good. That 29% from the three-point line is really, really bad. If he fixes that, he can definitely score more points. I think he could even average more than 13, like you said. I think he could average close to 15 in that role. 1.5 steals or 1.2 steals per game is pretty good. He's a great defender, can pick your pocket here and there. But I agree with you. That assist number is going to skyrocket where he's in that starting role. I think he can average 8 plus assists per game with 15 points. That's a huge improvement. If you see that, he has a great potential to win that most improved player. We'll look at my number one guy here in Reed Shepherd. And you look at the stats, they're really underwhelming. There's nothing there that says, well, this is a guy that's going to step up in a big way. The reason I have him as the most improved player is he's the starting point guard for the number four team in the West, in my personal opinion. He has to average 10 plus points a game. He has to have 3 or 4 assists a game, and he has to shoot a lot better. And for me, I think it's happening. I think I'm calling that now that he's going to do that for this team. He's going to go out there and shoot 40% from the three-point line. That's my kind of crazy prediction is he gets a lot better from that position. But I also think he shoots better from the field as a whole. You can see he has a pretty good shot. He's an 81% free throw shooter. I think he's going to be a better defender, averaging nearly a steal a game, and he only played like 12 minutes per game. So he can pick your pocket and make a play as a steal guy. But I think he's going to score a whole lot more points. Again, I think this number jumps up over 10. I think the assist number jumps up over 4. And if he's doing that, I mean, we're talking about doubling everything. If he doubles everything, he's the most improved player. It's not really close. I think Reed Shepherd will do that. I think he steps into that role and becomes the guy for this Houston offense in the loss of Fred VanVleet. We'll now move on down to the runner-ups at these positions. I'll talk about my guy first here in Amen Thompson. Of course, playing for the Houston Rockets. We mentioned him earlier in the race for the potential Defensive Player of the Year. I think Amen Thompson's an unbelievable player already. I just think he's going to get better. I think he's going to average 18 plus points per game. I think he can get this rebound number up a little bit. The assists are going to be similar, if not better. And like I said, that starting lineup on day one has the Houston Rockets playing Amen Thompson as the point guard. If he's the point guard, he's averaging more than 3.8 assists a game. He could average close to 5, maybe 6. But I think the points will take a jump. I think the assist will take a jump. And I think this three-point percentage. If he can increase that, that is the real step to him becoming the next star player for the Houston Rockets. His defense is already incredible. He can only get a little bit better at that. And if he does make all those improvements, I can see Amin Thompson stepping in and win the most improved player. Hoppy, last but not least, give me a reason why Benedict Mathurin could do it with the Pacers.
Yeah, similar reasoning to Nimhard. Someone's going to have to replace Halliburton. And Mathurin, I really liked him his rookie year. I thought he was really poised to take a big step that second year. It really hasn't happened since his rookie year. I think if you look, you might say his rookie year was his best year in the league. He really came out hot. And I think he's a really talented scorer with the rock in his hand. He's known to be able to draw free throws, so that means that the defense is having trouble stopping him in some capacity. I think he can average, 20 points, if not more, with all the extra shots that are going to be going around. You lose a player that is one of your key pieces. Obviously, this team's best player now is still Pascal Siakam, a really underrated guy. But Ben Matherin's going to be this team's second leading scorer if things go to plan. Only reason I put Nimhard ahead of him is I think that they're going to miss Halliburton's assists more so than his scoring. And no one can fill that assist void other than Nimhard. A few different people can step up and add some points here, there, here, there.
Yeah, I agree with you on Benedict Mathurin. He can step in and become the guy that scores the points for him, other than Pascal Siakam. If he does become the second leading scorer for this team and can increase those assist numbers a little bit, he definitely could win a Most Improved Player. It's funny that we both took two chances on the same teams. You both Pacers, me with both Rockets. We will move on now to our Clutch Player of the Year. This statistic is determined by a few statistics. Actually, it is the points, the field goals made, and the field goal percentage in clutch time, which is the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter or overtime when you're within 5 points. So basically, super close game, under 5 minutes. That's clutch time. Uh, Hoppy, give me your reason why you think Luka Doncic will win the Clutch Player of the Year this year.
He's got clutch in his DNA. I remember his rookie year, he hit buzzer beater after buzzer beater. And 1 year of a little bit down numbers in the clutch, it don't really matter to me too much. He's got the killer in him. We're talking about the dude that walked out of a game where he needed to win 2 games in a row after, looked dead in the camera, and he said, "They're always laughing when they're up." And I've never been more afraid. If I was the other team, that would have been my most scary moment in the NBA. Seeing that on the TV when I went home, I would have probably not showed up to the next game. But either way, I think this Laker team will have a lot of close games this year, and I think Luka can step up in those close games.
Yeah, and my clutch player is going to be Anthony Edwards. This is probably my favorite player in the entire NBA. But also, it's a guy that led the league in clutch points last season. Of course, you see the guy in second here is the guy that won the award last year. But I trust that Anthony Edwards is going to be in a lot of those situations again this year. This is a really good basketball team that wins a lot of close games. And when they need to win close games, the ball's in Anthony Edwards' hands. Still an efficient 43% from the field. And like I said, scored the most points in those opportunities. Hoppy, you have him as your runner-up, so give me your reasoning with why you think he could win it, but also why he's your runner-up.
New awards coming out, a fairly new award here. It's hard to pick. We don't have a history based on how they really choose this award. Anthony Edwards, he's one of the best players in the NBA. I figured you want a good player to be the most clutch player. It's not like someone who's not playing a lot of minutes is going to go out there and be the most clutch. Maybe on any given night that could happen, but for the consistency factor, I think Anthony Edwards is one of the best picks. You look at a guy like SGA, he can be really clutch, but over the course of a year, the Thunder are just going to have a lot of blowouts throughout the years. Throughout the course of the league. So Ant could be in a lot of situations, like you said, where he needs to come up.
Yeah, and of course, my runner-up, I have to give respect to Jalen Brunson. This is a guy that shot 51.5% in clutch situations last year. It was by and large the biggest margin between the other players in this specific statistic. Jalen Brunson is extremely clutch. When it mattered most, he was down the stretch making shots in those close games, in those overtime games. Like I said, he was the most field goals made. He was the second most points by only 1 point less than Anthony Edwards, and he was the best field goal percentage in that top 10. When it mattered most, get the ball in this guy's hand and let him win you the game. The Knicks, again, my pick to be the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're gonna win. They're gonna need to win those close games. I think Jalen Brunson is super clutch and can get it done for you. Your thoughts there on him being the runner-up?
I think it's a good idea, man, to put him in the runner-up spot. He's a really clutch player. And another thing you look at here, you have to be a good scorer from multiple levels to be clutch. That's another reason I picked Luka. He can just score from the post and keep that defense guessing. And Brunson's like that as well. He can post up for a guy like his size. He is a really good post-up player for a man his size, and he can score from all three levels. Also, really good at drawing fouls, which comes up a lot in the clutch. Sometimes scoring with the clock stopped can really help in comebacks, and that really will add to your total points scored in the clutch as well.
Yeah, and again, I like all these players to be clutch players, and obviously we both agree that Anthony Edwards is definitely in that race this season. Now we will move on over to our coach of the year here. Hoppy started off with Eric Spoelstra, and a large part of that being you had the Miami Heat making the playoffs. That would be really impressive if he did that this season.
Yep, this team that he's got working with has not got much offense identity with Tyler Hero out for the start of the year, so I'm really expecting Eric Spoelstra to really make some good sets that can get some of these guys you might think of as non-scorers the ball and put them in situations where they can score it. Probably my favorite coach since I've been watching basketball, just one I really saw from the very beginning come into the league. People said he was just LeBron's puppet man. We saw as soon as LeBron left that that was not the case. He's really led multiple good teams and had them do really well. I really think he has a positive impact on every team he's ever been a part of.
Yeah, I think he's the consensus number one coach in the NBA right now. I don't think it's really debatable. He is great at making teams that shouldn't be playoff teams into playoff teams. He does it routinely. What about your runner-up here in Quinn Snyder? A lot of that I think has to do with the improvement of the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, a lot of that is the improvement of the Hawks, and sometimes you can see a guy whenever a team has a big jump in performance win the Coach of the Year, and I think that's what could possibly happen here for Quinn Snyder. I'm a real big fan of Trae Young, but he seems like he's got a guy who kind of needs a coach to rein him in, and Quinn Snyder can do that this year. That team can be really impressive.
Looking at my coach of the year option here, I do have Jamal Mosley of the Orlando Magic. I think that if he takes this team into a top three, top two seed in the Eastern Conference, he has this locked up. They were not inside the top five. They weren't even inside the top six last year, seed wise. He had to play through the play-in tournament. And if he gets this team to being that good, that is easily the coach of the year, in my opinion. I love Jamal Mosley. Think he can get it done. You go down and look at the runner-up. I think it's the same case. Mitch Johnson could take this team into the playoffs and miss the play-in completely in that loaded conference. I think that's incredible. If he does that, I think Mitch Johnson is a real candidate in that running. Of course, you saw an all-time legend step down and Mitch Johnson take over and got this team in the position where they could win games last year. If they go in and be a top six seed like me and you both have them this year, Mitch Johnson will be in that race. Hoppy, your thoughts on those two guys?
Yeah, Jamal Mosley, especially, man, really make me regret my choice there because I did have them finishing as a third seed, and I do agree with you. If they finish as a third seed, they're gonna pretty much hand that guy the award as a new up and coming coach, coaching a new young squad, and finally getting them over that hump and into a spot where they can win some playoff series.
Yep, and we'll go ahead and move now into the award that everybody cares about. That is the NBA MVP. Hoppy, me and you share the same thing here, and it's the guy that could have won the MVP last year. He averaged a 30-point triple-double, basically, zero point 0.4 points away from doing that. This dude is incredible. If he wins another championship, he will be inside the top 15 players to ever play the sport. He'll be inside the top four centers to ever play the sport. I know you're even higher than that on him, but consensus would be that he's that good. And of course, another MVP wouldn't hurt too much either. Give me the reason why you think Nikola Jokic will be the NBA MVP.
I really had some names on my list, and I wanted to pick them because I think they're going to show out on the stats. And then I remembered, oh wait, the Nuggets are good this year. Oh wait, Jokic is going to be on a winning team this year. Oh wait, Jokic always has crazy stats. It's not a matter of if he's going to put up the stats to win MVP. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to give it to him that year or not, or if there's going to be a better guy. My other two choices were going to be Antetokounmpo and Doncic. Both great players, both going to put stats up that will rival Jokic. Maybe not average a triple double like him, but the stats will be right there with him. But at the end of the day, Jokic is going to have a better record, in my opinion, than those other two teams. And whenever he's putting up stats like he's putting up, if he's winning games along with that, he's going to win the MVP.
Yeah, and I actually fully agree with you. I think that if he's putting up these stats with the top two team in the Western Conference, he's the clear favorite to win the MVP. And the reason that he might lose it would be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing what he did last year, and he's the one seed. If the Thunder win 70 games and Shea is really a 30 plus point per game guy again, then there's a real conversation to be had that he could win it once again. But I don't think he does that. I don't think that they're going to be as good this year. I think they're still going to be the best team in the Western Conference, but I think they're going to step back just a little bit because they reached the final goal. They did what they wanted to do. Now they're trying to repeat. So you take a step back in the regular season. You prepare for the playoffs. I think that's what will happen with them. So I think that Denver's going to be really close in the standings and could even potentially dethrone them as the leader. So I think Jokic is going to have the ability to do that. You're looking at a big man that literally provides you with top 10 assist numbers, actually probably top five. He provides you with top five rebounding numbers. He provides you with top five scoring. He provides you with nearly two steals per game. He isn't a shot blocker at the center position, but that's not what he's needing to do on the defensive side. And then he shoots a three ball as good as most guards do. I mean, 42% last year. And in the playoffs, he shot over 50% from three. Nikola Jokic is a freak. I mean, he is going to be one of the top 10 players in the history of the NBA, more than likely, as long as he stays healthy and finishes his career. Going to go down and look at these runner-ups. Like you said, you have Luka Doncic. I'll quickly talk about him since you did. Think he's going to be great again this year. Think he can lead a really popular team in the LA Lakers. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team this year. Just don't have the faith in the rest of that roster. But he'll be the star on the roster. He's going to average close to 30 again, probably. I expect that those rebound and assist numbers could potentially go up just with the lack of. Well, the assist numbers could depend on the team he's playing with. Who knows what those guys do around him? But the rebound numbers could go up, especially with LeBron not playing early in the season. Would like to see a little bit better efficiencies from him. He's done it in his past, shot nearly 40% and then 45 plus at field goal. He did have a down year just efficiency wise, but he still scored 28 points. So there's no real question marks there. He can definitely score at a high level. Also gives you some defensive potential there with 1.6 steals a game. I'll now move on over to my runner up. And this is a guy that I think will be the clutch player of the year. I already gave you that pick. If he's the clutch player of the year, he's giving you that much clutch time. I think he's going to get better on the defensive end, probably one of the better on ball defenders at his position. But also, I think he's going to average over 30 points a game this year. I think he's going to be one of the best scorers. I think he can actually lead the NBA in scoring. I think that his improvement at the three-point line last year really showed how much of a scorer he can become. He is my favorite player. Like I said, there could be some bias going into this pick, obviously. But I think you can agree with me that Anthony Edwards is on the verge of becoming a top five player in the sport. If he's a top five player in the sport, picking him as a runner-up at MVP is not crazy, especially when his team is slotted as my third best team in the Western Conference. I love Anthony Edwards. I think he's again going to get better scoring. I think he's going to get better defensively, and I want to see those efficiencies even get better than they are now. I think that this is one of those guys that maybe he goes on this crazy run like Shea did last year and averages 33 or something absurd and wins an MVP. I love Anthony Edwards. I think there is definitely a time in the NBA that he will get it done and win an MVP. So I'm just going to have it being as a runner-up this year. Hoppy, your thought on that?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards definitely a great scorer. Definitely plays a little bit more defense than some of the other guys here on the list. I'm gonna have to just disagree slightly with the 30 points per game take. It's definitely a possibility, but it's really hard to average 30 points per game in the NBA over the course of a whole season. I mean, SGA needed the little bit of the ticky tacky foul type of a game to get it done, and he is a talented scorer even outside of the foul game himself. But outside of that, I really like the take. He could definitely win the MVP, and I would honestly pick him at some point in his career to win the MVP. But I just don't think it's going to be this year.
Yeah, I think it's a completely fair take. He is one of my favorite players, so I do give the little bit of a bias push on him, but I do think he is that good. And if he does average 30 plus points, there is a real world where he could win the MVP this season. We will move on next to our all NBA teams. Starting with our All NBA first teams, Hoppy, I'll let you go through and name your guys 1 through 5 on the first team.
Really easy for me here. I picked my five best players in the league, and they just so happen to play the right five positions. Luca, point guard, but he's got the size for the three. So I just went SGA, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Giannis, and Jokic. Those are the guys for me, man. They're the five best players in the NBA remaining. Curry can still be a top five player when it comes down to the push and shove, and there's some other guys that might be upset by that top five that I listed there. But those are my five who will make the first team this year.
Yeah, and there is no position lock anymore on the All NBA team, so technically five centers could make the All NBA team. You're going to see my team is huge. I'm going to have Shea. I agree with you there. Anthony Edwards, like I said, I think he can finish second in MVP, so he clearly has to be on the All NBA team. Giannis, who I think could have an argument for the leading scorer in the NBA, especially with his team this year. Nikola Jokic, my MVP pick, and the surprise over Luka would be Victor Wembanyama. If he's the defensive player of the year and he scores 25 a game, and his team is a top five team in the NBA, that's one of the things they look at for all NBA is how successful your team is. I don't think the Lakers are going to be a playoff team. I think that the Spurs will be, and I think that gives him a slight advantage in the All NBA race. So give me Victor to be my final guy on those five. Moving on to my All NBA second team, I'll give mine first since you started with the All NBA first team. There is Luka Doncic. He would be my sixth guy. Now, those are not in any particular order after that, but I do have him right there because I think he's that close to beating out Victor Wembanyama or maybe even Anthony Edwards. Then I have Brunson, who I think is arguably the best point guard in the entire NBA right now. Paulo Banchero, who I think takes the step into becoming a top 15, top 10 player potentially this season. Donovan Mitchell, who's going to be on one of the best teams in the NBA, maybe the best team in the Eastern Conference. I think he'll get into that conversation. And then Kevin Durant, he's kind of the surprise pick here. You do not have him in your top 15, but I have him on the second team because I have the Houston Rockets as a top four seed. And if they're a top four seed, it's because Kevin Durant has an awesome season. I think he'll score 28 points per game and go off and have one of those crazy years. And he's surrounded by so much talent that teams can't just focus in on him and lock in on him. He's got a great passing big man. He's got the potential to have two really good passers at the point guard and shooting guard position. They're going to dish him the ball a ton. I think he scores a lot of points this year and becomes an All NBA second teamer. Hoppy, your thoughts on my guys that I've listed so far, and then you can give your second team.
Make no mistake, Kevin Durant's still a great NBA player. And if I was being honest with myself and I was doing it based on who I think will make it, Kevin Durant's got the name value. He'll probably get the nod, but I'm done with handing out name value placements. I didn't think LeBron deserved to make it on the list last year. We need to get the 15 best players. If we're not doing positions, we don't need to be handing out participation trophies. But Kevin Durant, like you said, we had Houston finishing a little bit different. If they do finish as a top four seed, I think he's a respectable choice for the All NBA teams for sure. My second team, I got Steph Curry at the one. As you know, I put Golden State Warriors finishing as the three seed. Steph Curry and the Warriors, as a fan, I'm hoping they make a big run this year. And I think Steph Curry still got plenty left in the tank, even if the team doesn't quite support him the way they need to. And I think he's going to have a big year this year. Donovan Mitchell seems like a pretty obvious choice with both of us having him on the list. Really seems like a guy that could crack that top list. He's just got a lot of tough competition there. He's really, really the one that I would say is right outside that top list. And then I got Jaylen Brown really stepping up this year, filling in those shoes of Jason Tatum as the leading player of this team, leading scorer, as we've seen him do when he won Finals MVP a few years ago. Could definitely uptick his scoring and production all around. And then Paul Banchero is a guy that just improves every year, really has a good all around game. Really good score, and we both had Orlando finishing really high this year.
Yeah.
And Victor Wembanyama on my second team, just due to the fact I expect him to take a big jump this year, and very well as you had him on your first team.
Yeah, and go ahead and move down to your third team and give me what you got down there for All NBA third team.
Well, I got Cade Cunningham on my third team. He's just an all-around player as well. A really good point guard. Really has shown an ability last year in the playoffs to step up when it matters most. And then Jalen Brunson, quite an easy choice. The real debate there for me was whether or not to put him or Curry on the second team. along with Jalen Williams, who did make a All NBA team last year,
Yeah.
and on the team he's playing for as a second option and a great defender. It's going to be hard for him not to find his way onto this list. Anthony Davis, kind of a more risky pick because you never know how his health is going to hold up. And then I also have Evan Mobley, who is always a perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Really looking for him to possibly pick up his scoring, but even if he doesn't, he's already a really good scorer as it is. Every year it seems like we want him to do a little bit more, but he's already doing a whole lot. That's why I have him in the top 15.
Yeah, and I'll go over quickly your second team and your third that you went over there. Curry, of course, I have him down there. We'll talk about in just a second. Third team, Donovan Mitchell, Paulo Banchero. We both agreed on the second team. I had Victor on my first, so obviously I agree with you. He's going to be a top 10 player. Jalen Brown, a guy that didn't make my list. I didn't have them in the top six seeds. You did, so that makes plenty of sense. If you think they're going to be that good and be a playoff team without having to play in the play-in, then obviously he has to be a great player. I think he can be. Just missed the list for me. And then moving on to your third team, we've agreed very much on the third team. Kate Cunningham going to be on both of our third teams. Jalen Williams on both of our third teams. Anthony Davis and Evan Mobley were pretty much the exact same, other than the fact that I think Jalen Brunson's just a little bit better than Steph Curry, and I have the Knicks as the one seed. So if they're the one seed, I think he gets that push to move up to the second team, and Curry would fall down to the third team. Still think Stephen Curry's a phenomenal player. He is definitely one of the top 15 players in the sport. He has to be on these All NBA teams. I have them as the fifth seed in the West, which is still really, really great. I expect him to be a great scorer, expect him to be a top assist guy, and he actually isn't a bad defender, is what people like to believe, is he ain't a good defender. But if you go look at the statistics, Steph Curry can defend at a decent level, and I trust him out there, and he's going to be a leader for a Warriors team. And again, we have very, very similar third teams, other than that point guard position, which we swapped between third and second team. Overall, I think these are all top 15 players, top 20 players. Obviously, you have Jalen Brown, I have Kevin Durant. The rest of our lists are the exact same with the names on there, so pretty comparable. And I think this is going to be your list of guys this year that are the superstars in the NBA. We will move on to the all defensive teams. I'll start us off here with my all defensive team. It's obvious that Victor Wembanyama is on the all defensive team. He was the DPOY. Evan Mobley was my runner up. Bam Adebayo, I think, is an incredible defender, one of the best in the NBA. Now he's playing the power forward position, meaning he can go out on the perimeter more often and then come back into the paint and make plays there too. I believe he's one of the top defenders in the entire NBA. Amen Thompson will take that next step and become the guy in Houston on the defensive end. I think he's going to get even better, and he was already an awesome defender. And then Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis is a staple on the defensive end. He has been for the last 10 years. And if that Mavericks team is as good as I think they can be and make the playoffs, Anthony Davis has to lead the charge on the offensive and the defensive end of the floor, which I think he will do. Hoppy, give me your thoughts on that all defensive team, and then give me your first team.
I really like the addition of Bam Adebayo. As you can see, he's absent from my list. Seems he must have slipped my mind because he's absolutely one of the best defenders in the league. But that doesn't mean that I don't like the names I still wrote down. But if I did have to do over again, I probably would have put Bam onto that list.
Yeah, and give me your first team there. We do have a lot of similarities on our teams.
I got a Min Thompson and a Sar Thompson on the first team together. I think that'd be cool to have two brothers on the list, and both of these guys are very athletic and can play some defense and are on teams that I really like the all-around defensive makeup of. I mean, Asar Thompson could get a boost just from being on the same team with a guy like Duran and having some other defenders around him helping out, and then Victor, of course, our Defensive Player of the Year pick. Then I got Antetokounmpo and Evan Mobley rounding my list out here. Antetokounmpo is a guy that kind of got snubbed last year, in my opinion, on this list. But Antetokounmpo, he's won Defensive Player of the Year before, and as far as my eyes can see, he's still playing the same basketball he was back then. So I'm not sure how he didn't make that list last year. Either way, I think he'll make it this year.
Yeah, and again, you slipped on Bam, I slipped on Giannis. He wouldn't be in my first team. I would have him on the second team, but he definitely should be on the list. I probably would replace a Jaren Jackson Jr. there on my second team. Do think Giannis is still one of the top defenders in the entire NBA. I would definitely have him on there. And then moving down to my second team, Dyson Daniels led the NBA in steals last year, had over three per game, an incredible perimeter defender, one of the best in the NBA. You put him on somebody, he can lock him down. Jalen Suggs, arguably the best point guard in the NBA when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. He was on the All NBA defensive team 2 years ago. Think he's going to return to that list this year as the star player on a top three team in the Eastern Conference. Draymond Green, if you go look at all the defensive metrics, he still grades out top three in every one of them. I think he is versatile, and now he's back in the power forward position, which helps the Warriors so much because when he's there, he's the best he can be. I love Draymond Green as a power forward. He can lock down other teams' best players. Can't wait to see a matchup between like a him and a Paulo Banchero and him and a Franz Wagner. Those two guys from the Magic or the Magic, and maybe matching up on some of those kinds of players that he can maybe shut them down with how good he is defensively. Triple J, I will replace with Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm in agreement with you. He should be on the list. And then Oscar Thompson. I am also in agreement there. I think he can take a step into the next realm of defensive upside. He still has been an incredible defender. He's just kind of overshadowed by how good his brother is. I think he'll be on this list when it comes down to the end of the season. Talk about your second team, but also what do you like about my second team?
I really like the addition of Dyson Daniels there, of course, and Draymond Green. You're absolutely right, man. He made the first team last year, and I really don't see him taking that much of a drop off this year. He's got the name value, like I talked about earlier, that I don't like to rely on as much. Reason he didn't make my list is he's just every year getting another year older. Of course, he's still going to be a good key piece on defense. That's the only reason he didn't make my list. Just a slight caveat. Still, definitely a guy who can go out there and be a great defender. And then looking over at my list, I got Jalen Williams making it again. He's a guy that can get over a steal and over a block
Yeah.
every year that he's been in the NBA so far. So I think he's a guy that kind of had to be on the list for me. Going to be on my number one predicted team in the West as well. And he, of course, did make the team last year, as I already mentioned. Jaren Jackson Jr., he's been in talks through the years for some Defensive Player of the Year awards. And I expect he'll have to play some good defense there in Memphis again this year if they want any chance of winning at all. Health can be a concern with him, but if he stays healthy, he's up there with the top big men defenders, and he can give you a little bit of help on the perimeter as well. Chet Holmgren. A lot of people expecting him to take a leap this year, so I just said I'm going to side with a lot of people here and say he's going to take that leap. He's up there pretty high in the odds to win Defensive Player of the Year. You can't win Defensive Player of the Year and not make the All Defensive team. I think that actually did happen one time somehow,
I don't
but
know how that happened.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how the heck that happened, but either way. And then we both had. I have a guy that you like, I should say. You didn't actually have him on this list, but Anthony Davis had him there. No, you had him on your first
Yeah, I have
team.
my first team. Yeah.
So I have him also stepping up on the defensive end. And then a guy that you heard me earlier in the video talk about my past history with, Veka Zubac. He's a really good defensive player, actually really good on the offensive end. And something he does to help with defense more than a lot of other guys is secure the rebound. Teams do
Yes.
not get very many offensive rebounds against this man Zubac.
Yeah, and again, you look at your defensive team. I agree with some of your takes there. I would have had Triple J on my team, but I forgot Giannis, so I put him in there over him. Anthony Davis, I think, very easily could be one of the best defensive players right behind Victor Wembanyama. So I clearly like your take there, having him on the list. Chet Holmgren would have just missed for me. Jalen Williams, I worry a little bit with those injuries issues. How long does he miss? And he's only missing one game right now, but does that hinder him at any point this season? Also, I just think some of these names over here might get a little more love. They do like to switch up the defensive list here and there, and so that's kind of fun thing they do is not just put the same players every year like they do with the All NBA, which fair enough, it's supposed to be the top players, and here you give respect to all the defenders. With Ivica Zubac, I think that Zubac is one of the better defenders, like you said. I mentioned it earlier in the video when he was guarding Nikola Jokic, he did it the best I've seen anybody do it. So his size is very comparable to Jokic's, and that's why he's able to match up with him and defend him at a high level. So I think he's a good pick. He would be just off the list for me. That is our all defensive teams. We will now move over to our all rookie teams. And Hoppy, give me yours first there on the all rookie first team.
Well, a bunch of guys here on my first team, of course, Cooper Flag and Knipple had to be on there as those were my two picks for the potential rookie of the year. And then you see Trey Johnson, which was your runner up for rookie of the year prediction. So we're in agreement there a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Dylan Harper, we're talking about a guy that's starting until Fox come back and have a really good role, either in the two spot once he does come back or off the bench. I really think he's going to show out at the beginning of the year. And I got Kasparas Yakachunas in my last spot, rounding out my first team, as I feel like he's going to step up big for this Miami team, and I feel like that team is going to need him to do such on the defensive end and the offensive end, especially.
Yeah, and I'll look over at my first team. First of all, we had to agree on Cooper Flagg. We both have him as the rookie of the year. Then I have Trey Johnson from Washington. Like I said, I think he could be the leading scorer amongst all rookies, which would clearly put him on this list. I have Ace Bailey from Utah. He was incredible in the preseason. I think some of those injury issues he had maybe hinders him, but I think he'll get to 65 games, which would give him a chance to be on the list. I think he's going to score a ton of points. He could be right up there with Trey Johnson and Cooper Flagg. And then VJ Edgecombe, I've loved his preseason tape. He put 20 points out there. He's going to be a great defender. He's a freak athlete. He will start for this Philadelphia team, which gives him an even better chance to win this award. I love VJ Edgecombe. He could be on a winning basketball team too. A lot of these guys can't say that. Maybe Flagg is going to be on a winning team, but if you're on a winning team, that helps you a ton in this race. And then Nick Clifford. This is kind of the underrated guy that everybody's going to say, well, who's Nick Clifford? Nick Clifford was unbelievable last year at Colorado State. Go back and watch some Colorado State basketball in college. Nick Clifford was a difference maker on defense, but also on the offensive side. He's a phenomenal rebounder. He's a big body. He's like 6'8", weighs probably 250 plus pounds, can score at all three levels. But again, he's going to be an aggressive guy that gives you great minutes on offensive side of the ball and plays great defense. I love Nick Clifford as he sneaks in on my first team. Hoppy, on your side, I do agree with what a lot of you have. I have everybody you have on your list somewhere on my list. So I agree that those are all potential first team guys. What do you think about my rookie first team? And then give me your rookie second team.
Really need to look into that Neek Clifford character that you were talking about. Haven't looked into him too much. Didn't see too much college action from him either. But VJ Edgecombe, he's on my second team. I really do like the fact that he's going to be able to start the full year, and
Yeah.
then also playing with the team he's playing on. Maybe get some injuries. He could have a similar situation to McCain last year, and he could really show up and show out there on that team for both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and then moving on to your second team, like we both have Ace Bailey on that list, but what's the rest of that second team you have there?
I like Colin Murray Boyles to come in for Toronto. They need some bench pieces to do a little bit of work for him. He seems to be a guy that can play both sides of the ball
Yes,
as
yeah.
well. And then Walter Clayton Jr. just playing on a kind of lesser team really should have more opportunity than a lot of guys out there to put up some shots and really grow throughout the year. So just giving him a shot to make that second team. And then Carter Bryant. Don't know too much about him, but I have heard he's going to get a little bit of playing time off the bench for the San Antonio squad. So I think that that's going to do well for him. This team is good, in my opinion, but they're in some need for a guy to really come out and separate him as that third guy because they got like 4 or 5 names to me that could
Yeah.
really be that third option. So it's still space and minutes to be had on that roster.
Yeah, and going over to look at your list, we both agree VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey. I had them on my first team, so I obviously agree that they should be on the list. Colin Murray Boyles, like you said with Toronto, could earn himself a spot in that starting lineup if there's any injuries. But even if there isn't, he could be the sixth man for that team. He's a phenomenal defender, showed that in college last year, and can score a little bit. He's going to be more of a defensive guy, though, than a scorer. But that defensive upside can get you on an all rookie team, especially if you have high level defensive upside. Walter Clayton Jr. is going to score a ton of points in Utah. He was on the national championship team with the Florida Gators last year. He led that team in every situation, got them a victory in the national championship game. He's able to get it done, get situations, and I trust that Walter Clayton will get it done for this or for this Utah team like he did at Florida. And then Carter Bryant, San Antonio. Obviously, they have some options. They have some abilities. to get him on the court. He's a defensive nightmare. You're going to lock down your best player. And if he does that at a high level, he has the potential to hop onto an all rookie second team. Diving into my second team, I have Dylan Harper. I just think his role won't be as good whenever De'Aaron Fox especially comes back because you have Stephon Castle, who obviously won Rookie of the Year last year. So that's a Rookie of the Year guy. You're probably not going to start Dylan Harper over him. And then when De'Aaron Fox returns, that's even less minutes that Harper will get. And I think it will limit him a little bit, but he's still the second best player in this class. So I do think he'll find a way to score points and end up on the second team. Conkanipple, Hoppy had him on his first team. I think he's going to be a second team guy. But I do think he still has the upside to be a really good scorer. I don't know how much I trust everything else. Kasparas Yakachunas, like Hoppy said on his first team, he could step into that point guard role and play starting point guard minutes for this team. If he does that, he has a real chance to end up on that first team like Hoppy has him. Walter Clayton Jr., we both agree on the second team. He's going to be awesome. He's going to score a ton of points. He's so good at just finding his shot and getting it off and scoring points. And if he does that in the NBA, the Utah Jazz are probably the perfect place to do it due to the lack of ability and skill on that team. And then Danny Wolf. These Brooklyn Nets players are going to have so much potential to score a ton of points and be vital pieces of their offenses. He could find his way onto the court as a starter. If he does that, he's going to average a ton of assists because he's a great passing big man. He's a big man, so he's going to rebound well, and I think he can score at a high level. So I really like Danny Wolf on that Brooklyn team, specifically because of how bad they could potentially be, but also his skill and his upside as a player gets him on the second team here. That'll do it for this week's episode of our NBA coverage. I am really excited to cover the NBA this season. Like I said, Joey will get on here. Probably going to see an upload Friday or Saturday, and it'll have Joey's picks for all the things we listed today, as he's going to hop on the coverage with me and Hoppy for the NBA. He is a huge NBA guy, and so is Hoppy, so I figured it'd be perfect to have them on covering the NBA this season. I like to branch out into every field of research that I can, and all the sports I watch and pay attention to, I'm going to try to cover. And the NBA is one of those that I do pay attention to, and especially because of how much I love college basketball. Maybe have some college basketball talk here soon. Cover a little bit of the season coming up. Might just be a solo thing. I am one of the biggest college basketball fans that I know, and so I can do some of that on my own. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me, and we will see you guys again sometime in the near future with some more NBA talk. Again, thank you guys so much, and peace.